Hey guys, so this is gonna be a quick video about the 2018 Honda Clairty. So I've driven about 5,000 miles on the car, and in this video I'm actually just gonna show you some of the very interesting and I think the most useful features of the Honda Clairty. And also, being a plug-in hybrid, this car can go a amazing 50 miles on pure EV, driving in both city and highway. So it's pretty amazing because my commute every day is about a 20 miles round trip, and I could drive on pure EV in this car for 2 days without even getting a single charge. And it's great because before this car I had a Honda Accord V6, and that thing sitting in traffic is just absolutely horrible experience. It's a gas guzzler, it's very slow, and despite being a V6, it's actually a very slow car, the V6 Accord. And that thing burns gas like crazy in stop and go traffic. So the MPG on the Accord V6, I think it's about like 18 max, 18 miles per gallon. So basically if I sit in traffic, it just burns gas. So with the plug-in hybrid, when I sit in traffic, it actually uses the minimum amount of EV charge, and it doesn't burn a single drop of gas. It's pure EV. So for the most of the 5,000 miles that I've driven during the past half a year, I would say about 90% of the driving is on pure electric, and that is great because I don't think I've filled in the gas tank that much. Besides that really long trip that I did, about a 1,000-mile round trip going up to Savannah, Georgia, and coming back to Miami, I have to fill the gas tank like a few times because driving in hybrid mode actually uses gas. And the crazy thing is the gas tank is only 7 gallons, and it can drive close to, I think, 300 miles on 7 gallons of gas, which is absolutely crazy good efficiency. And it's also a very nice looking car, like compared to some other plug-in hybrid options, especially compared to the Toyota Prius Prime. That car is just downright ugly, and it's very small, and also the battery range can only go 20 miles per hour, like 20 miles EV range. That is a horrible gas mileage for a PHEV. I mean, why would you make a PHEV and make it only go 20 miles, but like 20 miles? Maybe it's good for like very short distance travel, like if you live in a very major city, like a busy city, and you need to travel maybe 3-4 miles round trip. That might work. But then I live in kind of a suburban area, like not so populated, but then again it's not downtown area, so I have to drive to the work, which is close to downtown. So it's about 10 miles commute, and so 30 minutes of commute going there and 30 minutes going back, so about an hour I spent in the Clairty. And it's absolutely a joy to just sit in Clairty and sitting in the stop and go traffic, because I don't burn a single drop of gas, and when sitting in traffic, it's actually like minimum amount of EV charge consumed. So, and again, that's with full AC blowing, music playing, and with the Honda sensing features enabled. So again, it's a PHEV, and I can't believe they designed this PHEV that good. So this is a basic trim. What basic trim compared to their upper level trim? The missing part is the leather seats and the navigation. That's the only two things that's missing from compared to the basic trim. So you actually get a full featured car for a basic trim, which is pretty amazing as well. And the front of the car, this is the radar. So adaptive radar cruise control is going over here, and it have a camera over here that also aids in the lane keeping assist feature of the car. So it keeps itself driving centered on the highway, and it's absolutely wonderful. So again, like full LED headlights, including the high beam, full LED turning lights, and a LED daytime running light. This car is like super efficient. Like everything's LED. There's no tungsten or HID in this car. Quite amazing for a plug-in hybrid that's aimed at mainstream consumers. Again, a lot of people complaining about that little fender on the rear. I actually don't find it that annoying because obviously you don't really look at that part that much. Like when I got this car, yeah, I read reviews, and a lot of people that doesn't want this car is because of that fender, and I think it's a pretty stupid reason to not get this car, because this car is so practical. It's so much joy to drive, and it's actually also very responsive. Like even if you're in EV, if you step on the gas pedal, even some of the muscle cars couldn't keep up with you at the low RPMs. Like it's got insane amount of torque at low RPM, which is again super great for city commuting. Like it's basically stop and go, and the maximum speed I go in that commute, it's 40 miles per hour. So why would you need, you know, that much of a power in the city? I don't get it. But some people just want that. So anyway, plug-in hybrid. So it's got a logo on both sides, and the charging port is right over here. So that's the EV charging. Where's my key? Let's see. I think I left my key in the house. So, but anyway, EV charging port over there, and that's your gas, which only takes 7 gallons of gas to go 300 miles. Amazing. The trunk, it looks like a hatchback, but it's actually not a hatchback. So I'm gonna open the trunk in a little bit. But actually, before this, I already did a video of how well this car can fit a lot of stuff inside. So I actually fit 2 road bikes into the car without a bike rack. So the reason I was looking at bike rack options is that Clairty actually, because of its design, I wasn't able to mount a hitch on the back of the Clairty, and I don't think it can tow that much as well. So and I tried to fit 2 bikes in there, and I actually fit 2 bikes perfectly in the Clairty. So again, I'm gonna put up a link on that video as well, so you can take a look at the video if you're interested to see how well the Clairty holds into cargos. The storage space, not the storage space, the rear passenger seat is very spacious, almost as big as my Honda Accord. And this is a full-size PHEV, so very rarely any other PHEV get this much of a space, you know, inside the car. So at the work, you know, we have the EV charging station, so I was just parking right next to the Chevy Volt and some of the Chevy Bolt and maybe the Nissan Leaf. Those cars are super small. Like I think they are sacrificing size for the so-called efficiency. Over here with the Honda Clairty plug-in hybrid, you're not sacrificing the size, and you're not sacrificing the cargo room and the passenger space. So very spacious car. Like you don't feel cramped when you sit in the car. Actually, some people feel like this car is bigger than my Accord when they sit in here, and they were all very surprised. So next section, I'm gonna show you guys the Honda sensing features, and then before I go away, I want to just make a really quick comment about things I like and things I don't like about the Honda Clairty. Again, overall, I'm very impressed with this car. I'm definitely gonna keep it until it dies. The EV range is fantastic, 50 miles. It can go mostly 50 miles, you know, on the flat surface in Miami area. And cargo space is great. The passenger space is also great, and it's got a 60-40 split seat, so if you need some longer items stored in, you can do that. Okay, just trying to show you guys how much junk I can fit in this car. So trunk space is pretty spacious. Like they put the battery kind of under there, so there's a little bump. You can see there's a little ramp going up, but that's all the space it takes. And the opening area, it's slightly less than the Accord, but it's still enough for you to fit a lot of longer items to the front of the area. So right over here, and see the opening space. It's not as small, but then it's not the biggest. Okay, so 40-60 split seat, very useful for if you actually need to put some stuff over there. And as you can see, the passenger area is just, it's very spacious. Like we're sitting here, I have a lot of legroom, and that seat is actually almost all the way back from the front. So very, very spacious. I'm so happy I got this car to replace my Accord. And looking at the, the driving console, it's just it's very classic design. So even the wood trim, it's actually plastic imitation wood trim. They did it so well. It just looks nice, and then again, it's very environmentally friendly because, again, Honda said they used mostly recycled materials to make the interior of the cabin, and including the plastic, including the leather, including even the fabric seat is made of recycled materials. Okay, so part of the Honda Sensing suite, you get the adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist, which is the little icon shown on the top right corner. Right now the car is stopped. I have the adaptive cruise control on with a low speed traffic follow. This feature is really cool because in stop and go traffic, I can just sit here. All I have to do is just actually press a button, and the car would actually start moving for me. Like, I don't have to use the brake pad, I don't have to use the accelerator pad. My feet is just right here. When it detects a car in front that stops, the car automatically stops for me. See, right now it's stop and go. When it stops, it'll tell me that the car stopped. At this stage, the only thing for it to move is press the resume button, or press your brake pedal just a little bit to override the cruise control. Really useful feature, because right now the only thing I worry about is, just have one hand on my steering wheel, making sure that, my car's moving straight. So right now it's stopped again and the car's moving. I'm gonna hit resume, and then the car is gonna move again. It's gonna move at the speed that you set. Right now I set it to 40, so it's gonna move at maximum 40 depending on the car in front of me right there. And it's using the radar, so even though right now I'm driving against the sun, it's not using the camera to detect the car, so using the radar is much safer. So right here, like, this is all Honda does the work for me. I'm not braking, I'm not accelerating. The only thing I'm doing is with my hand on the steering wheel. So it works great. And so this is horrible Florida US 1 traffic in Miami. Every day I'm driving like this after work, and with the adaptive cruise control and the lane keeping assist, especially with the low speed follow, this works great. Like, I don't have to do anything, the car does it for me. So this is just one of the features that I really like about the Honda Clairty. Again, I had this car for about 1 month now, and as you can see on the odometer, I've driven a little more than 1,000 miles, so on average 30 miles a day. I mainly use this for commute. So my work actually had a great perk where I can get reduced parking fee, and also my work garage have free EV charging. They have both level 1 and level 2 charging. Right now I'm only using level 1 because I haven't bought a level 2 charger. But it's as you can see, I've driven about 5 miles now off the work, and my commute every day is about a little more than 7 miles one way. So the battery reserve is more than enough for me to drive more than 2-3 days on a single charge. But every morning I go to work, I just plug it into the charger at work, and then I don't have to worry about getting the car charged at home. So right now it's in adaptive cruise control. Right now the car's actually stopped right over there because I'm in stop and go traffic. And this really takes a lot of stress off me in terms of daily stop and go, like traffic, driving in the traffic. Right now I'm just sitting here. All I have to do is press one button and the car starts moving and braking for me, even with low speed. Okay, it brakes just fine. The only thing I have to do right now, the moves, is press a button for it to follow. And again, as I said, this car is perfect for commuting. Like if you do a lot of city commuting, going to and back from work, or if your job requires a lot of travel in the city, the Honda Clairty is definitely a no-brainer to go. And even though I don't have the navigation feature, I have the base trim. I use the Android CarPlay, and with the CarPlay I have Waze and I have Google Maps. Both of those works fantastic with with the car, and I have no trouble with them. And also it have the the Pandora and Spotify and a whole bunch of other like audio features. So really stress-free. I love driving in Clairty. I had a Honda Accord V6 prior to this, so last month I traded that V6 in and I got this. I have never looked back on the V6. Like I just love this car so much. And yeah, it's a joy to drive, especially commuting. So this is one other thing to love about this Honda Clairty. For the price I paid, which is in Miami, they don't have too much incentives compared to other states. I paid, I think, $24,000 out of the door. And again, this is a base trim. But I do also get the $7,500 federal tax credit for this year. So effectively brings this car down to the price of a baseline Accord, the new Accord, which I think is around $26,000 for the base trim, or a little more than that. There is a Accord right over there, the new one, which looks really nice and very cool, very nice looking. But the Clairty is definitely much more energy efficient in that matter. So that is the I guess a small summary of this car. Really great for commuting. Like also on the highway it gets 40 miles per gallon, so also very decent. And the interior of the car is just fantastic. It looks like a well-built car. The reason I didn't go for the Toyota Prius Prime is because I actually went over there to check out the car. The interior is pretty ugly. The mileage is pretty short. Even though it gets me, daily to commute, going back to work, like a little more than 20 miles, I think. I just couldn't stand the look of the car. And the Clairty actually looks much more classic, much more classy. The material they use inside, it's just great. Like again, this is base trim. It's fabric with man-made leather, and the Honda says they use recycled vinyls for all the a lot of plastics that they use inside the car. So very environmentally conscious car. If you ask me, the one thing I don't like is actually the infotainment system. The infotainment system feels a little sluggish to use, and it's the last generation compared to the newest Accord. That entertainment system is actually very responsive. I really like that entertainment system. Unfortunately, it's not in the Clairty. This is the last gen entertainment system, which works, but it just doesn't work as good as the new Honda Accord that I test drove for the 2018 model year. Everything else about this car works just great. No complaints. Another little quirk is this button transmission system. takes a little getting used to, and a lot of times I kind of wish they made the button more logically, because a lot of times when I want to drive, I keeps reaching over here for drive. For some reason that just seems more logical to me, but it could be different for you guys. So that sums up the driving experience, and later on I'm gonna do another footage for driving on the highway, where the was this lane keeping assist. When it works on the highway, it have to be at speed, over 45 miles per hour for that lane keeping assist to work on the highway. So basically on the highway, the car actually keeps itself in the lane and it drives itself for you. The only thing you have to do is keep your hand on the steering wheel just lightly, so it knows that you're still paying attention to the road. But I'll demonstrate that feature in next section of this video. Okay guys, so as you can see, right now we're actually driving back from our long road trip. Again, we're still on the highway, and right now the car is doing most of the work for me. So the lane keeping assist is on, the adaptive cruise control is also on, and right now I have the speed set to 74. And it's just following the traffic. Like, my foot is off the brake and accelerator pedal. My hand is almost off. I need to have my hand on the thing because it detects it kind of detects my motion on the steering wheel. So if I lose my hand on the steering wheel in a little bit, it's gonna ask me to put my hand back. But let's see when it's gonna have the signal to ask me to put the hand back. Like right now my hand is off. It's still driving by itself and following the car in the front. So although I set my speed at 74, it's going 71. Okay, now it's asking me to so I just need to apply a little pressure on the steering wheel so it knows I'm still driving. I'm not looking on my phone or anything like that, and then it's gonna continue to do its job. What I want to do now is I want to try to find a curve for you guys to see that this thing can actually turn on the curve. So we've already drove, let's see, we've already driven close to 1,000 miles on this trip, and we're on the way back. We actually we haven't used our foot or the much, because most of the time the car is driving for us on the highway, which definitely makes driving long distance a lot more easier. Right now, like, I'm just relaxing, and really, like, after 1,000 miles you start to trust the car, and it's actually doing its job exceptionally well on the highway. Right now the highway is well marked, so
there's a curve.
Right, I think there's a curve in the front, so I'm gonna lose my hand and then show you guys that it's gonna turn itself on the curve. So it's coming up. Again, I'm still not like, I'm basically just have my hand right over here as the emergency, so I'm not really doing anything. See if the steering wheel will turn. Okay, so hands off, and it's going over the curve. Sometimes it likes to go on the edge of the curve, so hands still off just in case. So it follows the curve, and sometimes if the lane is too wide, it kind of swivels to like left or right a little bit, but for the most part it keeps you in the curve. Okay, asked me to put my hands back, so I just shake it a little bit, and then the warning would go off, and it would go into self-driving mode again. So that's just a quick demonstration.
I think you should put your hands on.
I should put my hands. Okay, so it asked me to put my hands back. Okay. Yes, so I always have my hands on the steering wheel, and when the thing turns, it helps you, it guides you through the curves. So if you are really tired and you're falling asleep on the highway and you had, you know, your Honda sensing feature turned on, hopefully you won't be hitting any walls or cars, because the car is gonna stop automatically if there's a car in the front. It's gonna stop fully. Also, it's gonna turn itself and try to steer you away from, you know, the outside lane. So right now there's too many cars. I don't want to like risk, you know, getting into an accident. But if you do go out of the lane, the lane keeping assist would go into full warning mode, and then it starts to steer you back like with stronger force. And then there will be a warning on there that says, you know, lane departure. So you're swerving away. Overall, the car works exceptionally well, especially for long distance. It actually saves you. It actually makes driving stress-free. Like we've driven 1,000 miles and we never felt too tired, like what we did before when we don't have this feature, you know, on our old cars. Definitely a huge plus for the Honda Clairty. And we're continuing the next section of this video. Okay guys, so before we go into next section, my wife actually wants to elaborate on the lane keeping assist part of the Honda sensing.
Hi guys, since I've driven half of the 1,000 miles on this road trip, I'd like to clarify a little bit on the lane keeping assistant function of this car. While it actually is a great help in helping you to stay in your lane, it's always advised that you the person should always be the one that's actually actively driving the car and putting your hands on the steering wheel. Never take it off for too long. The demonstration that we just did was just to show you that it will remind you to put your hand back, which is definitely necessary. So don't play with your car, especially with your own and other safety on the road, especially in high speed. Well, but still, this lane keeping assistant is definitely very helpful in long distance driving, because while you still need to actively drive the car, you don't need to apply as much force as you would with a regular car. The lane assistance will help you to keep you in your own lane and help you to get back into your lane in case anything happens. So it's definitely very helpful in long distance driving, and I hope that's helpful.
Okay guys, so I want to reiterate the gas mileage on the Honda Clairty. If you're driving on the highway with a speed of around 65 to 70, you actually get decent hybrid mode gas mileage, which is around 48. But if your speed goes up to 75, your gas mileage will drop to around 46 to 47. If you go even faster, it's gonna tank quite a lot and drop down to around 40. So if you maintain your speed well during the highway driving, your hybrid mileage is actually exceptionally good. Consider this is a 4,000 pound car and it's really heavy. It's managing the battery and power output exceptionally well. So and if you're driving in the city, it also takes the electric range into consideration. So your average miles per gallon estimate is not going to be as accurate as what is shown here, because over here we've done a long road trip in hybrid only mode, so it's estimating pretty accurately. So I'm gonna flip the switch back to trip A, which is my overall mileage estimate, and as you can see, the mileage is actually 72 something. So I wouldn't say it's accurate in terms of what is displayed if you actually mix EV driving and the hybrid mode driving. So for guys out there that wants to know the actual hybrid mode fuel efficiency, there you have it. Is around, in the highway it's around 48 if you keep the speed below 70. Okay, so I would say it's excellent MPG. Now, getting to the downside of the Clairty is that the touching panel, it's a last generation touching panel compared to the very new 2019 Honda Accord. I really love that new center console, which is like very easy to use, very responsive, and this one kind of feels sluggish and you have to press a lot of keys to get into areas that you really need to get into. So that is one area I wish they could improve. So maybe in the next generation of Clairty they would have that. So there's really not much to complain about this car because it's just a very practical plug-in hybrid that you can have. Another very minor nitpick is the engine. How they designed this engine is that the engine, when it kicks in, it runs at full speed, so it doesn't really adjust much. So when you're driving, you can always hear the engine. If you're using the hybrid mode, the engine noise is very audible. And if you use hybrid plus charging mode, which is like it drives and it charges your battery at the same time up to 30 miles range, that charging mode is very, very noisy. So if you guys couldn't handle the noise, I would suggest you maybe look at some other options. But that is the only downside that I would say it's quite annoying in the Honda Clairty. Other than that, nope, everything's fantastic. I'm so glad I got this car compared to the Tesla Model 3, because I think still plug-in hybrid is the present of how a great commuting car should be. A 100% pure electric EV is nice. It's definitely the future, but then at this point, I think plug-in hybrid is the most practical, because I don't even charge my my car at home, because my job have a charging station, so I just mostly charging at my job. If necessary, I can run a outlet out of my home and just quickly charge my car. 120 volt, it charges pretty long. It takes about 10 to 12 hours to fully charge. But if you're running 220 volt charging, it only takes about 45 hours to fully charge and get that 50-mile range for the plug-in hybrid of the Honda Clairty. Now, if you live in a colder area, you might have less range, because I think this car actually uses a lot of EV power if you're actually running the heater. So if you're running the heater, I think the range drops significantly down to about, I think some people said 30 some miles per like EV range. So so people are trying to find ways to not using the heat pump to actually power the car during cold weathers. I can't really comment too much on the cold weather driving, because I live in a tropical area and this car is just perfect. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me after the end of this video. And again, just want to put this video out there for other people who's also looking for a very practical plug-in hybrid. And if you're considering EV, give plug-in hybrid another consideration, because it is definitely more practical. Because for now, if you need to charge an EV from empty to full, it still takes quite a while. If you actually need your car in a hurry to drive long range, the plug-in hybrid is your only option, because if it runs out of EV, it can still drive in hybrid mode for 300 miles on 7 gallons of gas. So again, best of the both worlds. You heard my comments, so Thank you again so much for watching. So questions, comments, feel free to ask in the comments section below, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you again and take care.